Hey, I'm Brandon, and welcome to this year's first episode of Film Archaeology. I want to talk about the Giallo or Gialli film genre in this video. So grab your J and B or have it, set off frame like any good Giallo should. And we're going to sit down and have a little bit of a conversation about the case of the Bloody Iris right here. And it's a good thing I put up this side because I don't speak Italian. Would like to learn though. My sister is learned quite a bit in the last year after going there. But this movie was put out by Celluloid Dreams on 4K. It looked absolutely incredible. And I loved the film. Like, it grabbed me from the get-go, and I cannot recommend it enough. So let's get into it. First off, I just want to talk a little bit about my experience with Gialli and how, I kind of got to this point where it's one of my favorite subgenres of film. And I'm pretty new to watching Gialli. I kind of got into the genre probably less than a year and a half ago. And a big catalyst to me just becoming absolutely hooked was a year ago. So January of 2024, I went to 3 out of 4 film festival movies at a great Chicago theater called the Music Box. If you're not from Illinois or know the area, it's one of the best theaters in the country. It's iconic. It's from the 20s, I believe. Don't quote me on that. And they play just new releases, but they really excel in creating a great cinematic experience and bringing people out to screenings of older movies. And in January, they dub it January Giallo. And every Monday in the month, they play a new movie. And they announce them all in December, so you know what's playing. But it was such a great experience last year. I got to see House of Psychotic Women. I got to see Closed Circuit, which is a movie that Severin put out on Blu-ray. Don't skip it. If you're a fan of the genre, it was fantastic. Amazing ending to experience in a theater, and I won't give that away. And then I had seen Torso before, but I saw Torso in theaters as well, which is one of my favorite Italian movies ever, from the great Sergio Martino. So yeah, that was really a catalyst for me to watch as many Giallo as I could get my hands on. And as you kind of get into collecting physical media, you quickly find that it's one of the most remastered genres because it's so visual. And a lot of the versions of these movies were maybe on VHS, maybe DVD if you're lucky. So we're in a really awesome era of physical media where these movies are being unearthed. They're unearthing all this great cinema for us to consume. So I had seen, a couple Argento movies, maybe a year and a half ago. Went through 2024 and watched all the ones I hadn't seen, like Tenebrae and Opera, and watched a couple Fulci, although I got to do a lot more Fulci discovery. Haven't seen The Beyond yet, but we'll get to it. So yeah, it's quickly turned into one of my favorite subgenres of film, and one that I just really like talking about and dissecting, which is perfect for this first video of the channel. If you pre-order early, or if you did, from Celluloid Dreams, you get all these really cool reproductions of lobby cards, which are also just great reminders of some of the really key moments of the movie. And I think, I want to pause a moment and just talk about this one here. So George Hilton really kind of becomes the accused man of our killer. And if you've watched any of these movies before, you know that the killer is not the obvious person. They're not going to make the main character the killer in most cases. But yeah, I really liked in this movie the tempo of the film. This movie never is in a lull. And I think part of it is it has really great characters. Starts with our 2 main leads, Edwidge Fenwick and George Hilton. That's a pair that is in other movies as well and really excel in the genre. Edwidge Fenwick gets the most screen time, and I just want to take a moment to say she is becoming one of my favorite actresses to watch in any movie. I've seen 2 prior Edwidge movies before I watched Bloody Iris. I saw Your Vice is a Locked Room and Only I Have the Key. I love these long titles, by the way. How can you not? And then at January Giallo last year, one I forgot to mention I saw was also my favorite. Strange Vice, The Strange Vice of Mrs. Ward. I'm looking over there because I have a poster that they made specifically for the event. Looks like it was January 23rd or 22. I don't know. Guess my eyes are failing me. But that movie was incredible. Like, so good. And I thought a big part of it was because Edwige's performance. So in Bloody Iris, she is the undisputed lead. And I think part of what makes her so captivating in these Giallo films, which are murder mysteries, is she's just got a really like mysterious, beautiful nature about her. And it starts with her eyes. She has really striking, emotion-filled eyes that really pop off the screen, especially in these 4K remasters, so that when she reacts to something, you feel it because you're looking at the way she's reacting through her eyes. Eyes are the window to the soul. She sells every emotion she feels in these movies. Not to mention, she's absolutely stunning. Like, these are Italian movies. She is just has a kind of iconic dark-haired Italian look to her. And it just really makes the vibe of these movies stand out when she's in it. So one of my favorite actresses. No simplifying that for this movie. Like, she has to carry a lot of weight throughout this story. And part of it is that she's got this really interesting like backstory to her character that kind of becomes a loose thread, which is something that happens a lot in this genre. But I'll talk a little bit about this right here. Like, one of the like loose threads of her backstory is that one of her like ex-boyfriends or partners is kind of obsessed with her and kind of following her in this movie and becomes a suspect. And there's this dream sequence where there's the irises being thrown. She's laying on like a leopard print bed. There's this dream sequence, and you later kind of learn that at some point in an earlier life, she was part of like a cult or a sect, and it's implied that it was like a sex cult. So there's a scene with her, and other partners around, and it's implied that they're about to engage in some sort of like group sex act or ritual, and she's got kind of cold feet about it, and it's implied that she kind of leaves that group after that moment. But you don't quite know like the full backstory of that. Like, how did she get into it? Is this the first time she's attending this, or has she been participating in whatever kind of like group rituals, or I don't know, maybe they're having an orgy, what they're all doing together. So it's an interesting component of her character because, one, I think Edwige is a very like sexualized actress in these movies. I haven't seen a lot of her career outside of the 3 films I've already talked about, but I know she did a lot of like sex comedies and things like that. So she was kind of known for being sexualized in these types of movies. And then you have that aspect of her character, and she's trying to kind of like course correct on her life, but gets swept up in this kind of affair with George, but also stuck in the middle of all these murders that are happening around her. So I just think like she's really interesting to watch in this movie. There's a lot not said that makes you think a certain way about her that will leave me kind of thinking about her character a lot in future viewings and things like that. But I can't recommend this 4K disc enough. The movie just popped off the screen. Fantastic restoration work from Celluloid Dreams. I consumed every bonus feature this thing had to offer, from interviews with Ernesto Gastaldi, who is the writer of this film, prolific Italian writer who did, I want to say, like over 200 films or screenplays that got turned into films. Maybe it's over 100, but it's a massive number. He has a lot of really like honest comments about the making of this movie and about revisiting it and just his thoughts. But the real showstopper on this disc, from a bonus features perspective, is the commentary track. The commentary track truly is one of the best commentary tracks I've ever heard. I don't always have time to consume a commentary track. There's a lot I would like to consume, but I've listened to a couple where like there's a lot of silence. There's not a lot of insight. You're not really getting a lot out of having that commentary track on, and those are frustrating. Like those feel like wasted bonus features and a waste of your time. This one is 100% not a waste of your time. The commentary track is by film critic Guido Henkel, is what it says on the back, and this dude came completely prepared. It honestly feels like he did his research, like he had notes, like maybe even scripted some of this out, because he is so composed and eloquent and informational on this commentary track, and I think you'll get a ton out of it. I definitely did. So I want to talk about like 2 to 3 of my main takeaways thinking about how much I love this movie and then listening to the commentary track. Probably the best takeaway was his comments about the dubbing of the film. At multiple points on the commentary track, there's conversation about why you should only ever watch a Giallo, or you could apply this to any foreign language film, why you should only ever watch it in its native spoken language with English subtitles if English is your only language versus what they're sharing on screen. And he talks about it from the performances of the English dub, if you were to go and watch the English dub of The Case of the Bloody Iris. There's multiple characters that he says the English dub really makes them annoying. It doesn't make the humor land, and it completely changes like the dynamic and the vibe of that character than the original Italian spoken language version of the film as it was intended to be released in Italy. And I found that incredibly insightful. I've had a little bit of a personal struggle sometimes in watching foreign language movies. Do I watch it with the dub for English, or do I watch it with subtitles? And I'll be honest, like sometimes if it's late, I'm starting it, I don't want to read the subtitles. Like sometimes I've opted for a Giallo for the first time with the English dub. Other times I've just committed and said, you know what, I really want like the full original Italian experience, and I've watched it with the English subtitles. But I've done both, and I've kind of like flip-flop between the two and just never quite settled on like, is one better than the other? But this commentary really has completely changed my mind about it, because I never thought about it from the aspect of how much the English dub can completely change the experience of the movie for you. And this particular movie has a lot of frantic conversations. So hearing, the cop try and figure out who's the murderer and like get heated about the suspects, like hearing him speak in frantic Italian about that really like drove the intensity of the movie. If I would have skipped Edwidge Fenwick's, dialogue on this and gone for the English dub, I don't feel like I'd be getting her full performance. I'd be getting half of her performance. So this movie has been a game changer for me, just in terms of my experience watching it, the commentary track. Moving forward, my first viewing of any foreign language film, I'm going to really be committed to hearing it in the native spoken language. That doesn't mean I might not rewatch with an English dub if it's my second or third watch. And I think that'll be cool because it'll be a different experience. One of the things that's been a struggle with, deciding what I do for the audio for Giallo is they're such visual films, right? Like the colors are incredible. The camera work is incredible. There's a lot of twists and turns in the characters. So at times I've opted for the English dub because I really wanted to take in the remaster. I really wanted to take in the film. But I think I've really changed my tune after that. And first time really want to hear the actors speaking their lines with English subtitles. And let me be clear, like subtitles don't bother me at all. I know some people are like, oh, I don't want to watch a movie with subtitles, but they don't bother me at all. Like a lot of times it actually really helps you like understand the names of characters, and like sometimes with accents it's tricky. So if you just commit, like it's a win-win. The other great takeaway from this commentary track was there's a little bit of a discussion about the first kill in the movie and comparing it to one of my favorite directors, Brian De Palma, and his work in Dressed to Kill. I'm a huge Alfred Hitchcock fan, and I always knew like De Palma, is a massive Hitchcock fan. If you watch Dressed to Kill, you can feel like the Vertigo influence in the art gallery scene. He's doing, similar things that Hitchcock did with Jimmy Stewart, following, the trailing the girl in Vertigo, which is one of my favorite Hitchcock films. You know, Dressed to Kill is considered an American Giallo from the late 70s. And, you know, De Palma obviously was inspired by Argento's work, but there is undisputable doubt in my mind he had to have been inspired by The Case of the Bloody Iris, which came out in 1972. And the link is both have their kills in the movie, prominent kills in the movie, take place in an elevator and take place where other people could be around, and take place violently where the dead body is left in the elevator. And when you watch The Case of the Bloody Iris, and if you've seen Dressed to Kill, which is just such a great suspenseful giallo, almost slasher of a movie, like the parallels are 100% there. It's no doubt in my mind. So as such a fan of that movie, kind of linking that, you know, De Palma homaging both Hitchcock and Italian filmmakers like The Case of the Bloody Iris, and the director of this movie. This was his only giallo. Blanking on his name at the moment. I think it's Carnimeo. Yeah, just a fantastic commentary track. Like, those are just two things that I pulled out, but there's a lot of great insights shared and just thoughts about moments in the movie and why it's such a successful movie. And you learn a lot about the production of this too. Like, they started filming this in early 1972, came out in the latter half of 1972. They talk about that being like the golden age era of Italian giallo films. And there's so much greatness that came out around that year. So can't recommend this movie enough. If I have to just, you know, state like what is a favorite scene, it's hard to pick. Like, I love all the photography studio stuff. It just adds like an artsiness to this movie. The black woman, you know, she has this great club that she does a performance at, where like she challenges people to really be able to kind of pin her down, and it's implied that if they can in 3 minutes, that they can have sex with her, but I doubt, you know, the club would let that happen. And she's great in the movie. The thing I think I just really like about this movie the most, I talked about Hitchcock a moment ago, like a lot of the second half of the movie takes place in this apartment complex. So the apartment complex kind of becomes a character in itself, and a den for all these other characters to kind of get to commingle with each other. And you meet these other characters along the way where you don't really know who's a suspect, who can I rule out. It kind of has like a Rear Window type of vibe, where all the people in that courtyard kind of know each other, and these characters commingling becomes part of the story. This movie does that really well too, and I really like that aspect, being such a big Rear Window Hitchcock fan. But it just really worked in terms of this being a murder mystery, and you not necessarily knowing like, which character could actually be involved in this, until you get to the twist at the end, and it is one of the characters you've met previously. So can't recommend The Case of the Bloody Iris enough. I had a blast watching this movie. If you like this video, please hit the like button. Recently changed the title of this channel from Retro Archaeology to Film Archaeology, and I'm hoping to post some more just like my thoughts and movie discussion videos about Giallo in January, and a bunch more throughout the year. So hit the subscribe button. Don't be afraid to comment. Like, do you watch your movies in English dub, or do you stick to the Italian with English subtitles? You know, was there a good English dub you heard, or a bad English dub that made you go that way? Have you seen this movie? What other Giallo should I check out? Like, don't be afraid to reach out. Definitely love creating a forum and a space just to have some great conversation about movies. So I'm Brandon. Thanks for watching Film Archaeology.